Cameron was very clever and decided that he really wanted to be a doctor. I think had adrenoleukodystrophy not happened, he probably could have been a doctor. He certainly had the compassion and he was the caring one, always looking after everyone, but an awful lot of fun.
Cameron Harrison is 19 years old. He has spent most of his short life living with the effects of adrenoleukodystrophy, or ALD, a rare and little-known genetic illness that almost always affects males. Nerve damage in the brain causes ALD sufferers to gradually lose their physical and mental abilities. In many cases, sufferers are completely unaware they have ALD until they start to show symptoms. By then, a bone marrow transplant, the only effective known treatment, is normally too late.
I think Cameron's most frustrating thing was when he stopped being able to walk properly. He desperately wanted to walk. I mean, it was absolutely devastating time. He never actually voiced a sort of, why can't I walk anymore? I think he just realised, obviously, that he couldn't and battled as hard as he could against it. And of course it got quite dangerous at some point because, you know, he would suddenly just try to get up and he couldn't, and it was heartbreaking. By then his speech was very slurred. He definitely had no eyesight then. We think he can see light and dark, but we don't think he can see anything else. Hence why we bought him the lights for Christmas. Hearing comes and goes. Obviously the spasticity, so the sort of muscle contractions, they get worse as you go along and they continue to get worse.
Doctors confirmed that Cameron had ALD after Alexander, his identical twin, was diagnosed in 2002. Alexander died 2 years later, aged 8. Just after the twins were diagnosed, Glenn was born. Karen and her husband Jonathan were relieved to learn that Glenn was completely free of ALD. Karen and Jonathan are keen that Glenn leads as normal a life as possible.
Working for ALD Life really has absolutely changed my life. It's given my confidence back, made me feel like I've got kind of a real purpose to my life, kind of, you know, as well as looking after children, which obviously is very, you know, is absolutely my priority. You know, ALD Life is a very big part of my life as well. If I hadn't found ALD Life, I think that I would have felt very isolated, very lonely. I think I would have been really struggling with dealing with everyday kind of stuff.
ALD Life campaigns to raise awareness of the illness. It raises funds from its 5 charity shops in South London. CEO Sara Hunt started the charity in honour of her first son Alex, who died from ALD in 2012. Her second son was also diagnosed.
That's Alex, and this is Aidan when he was a baby. Aidan had a bone marrow transplant because we knew about his condition before we saw any symptoms, and he had that at 8 and he's now 16 and doing GCSEs, and you would not know there was anything wrong with him. So it's a very treatable condition, but you've got to know that you have the gene, otherwise there is no hope, unfortunately. It's very humbling when you actually come into contact with a rare disease, and not just ALD but any rare disease, just to realise that doctors cannot click their fingers and they cannot fix everything and they cannot know about absolutely everything. So I think a lot more needs to be done for rare disease, and I think a lot is trying to be done for rare disease, but I think the NHS on the whole do a really good job and they have some wonderful people working for them.
ALD Life works with hospitals across the UK. The charity has submitted a proposal to the National Screening Committee, or NSC, to get newborn babies tested for the disease.
The diagnosis is made on the basis of a blood test that can be obtained if we think the child has symptoms or if the family is affected. In some parts of the world, this might be included in screening programs that are undertaken even in newborn children. At the moment in the United Kingdom, we're not offering that, but that, along with a number of other conditions, continues to be under review to see whether it should be something that we are screening for all babies after they're born. So at the moment there is no cure for this condition. It is a lifelong condition that affects patients.
Newborns are already tested for 9 conditions, including cystic fibrosis and sickle cell disease. Sara says it could take the NSC 4 years to make a decision on ALD. It said in a statement,
"The UK NSC is in discussion with ALD Life regarding the proposal to consider screening for ALD as a candidate for a screening programme. This will be considered within the recently revised and published evidence review process."
Like a train, aren't you?
Who knows what the future will hold. We hope that, Cameron will be with us for many years to come, but no one can predict what's going to happen, and it is always in the back of your mind that, if he was to become very unwell, of course the doctors ask for, have you got a plan, At the moment Cameron is down for full treatment, simply because that gives us a lot more control. But, when you live with adrenoleukodystrophy, you just have to accept that, at any given time we could lose Cameron. But hopefully not very soon.